You've no idea how hard it is to start these podcasts, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried a couple of times.
We've been going for an hour now, and I still couldn't start it. UFC 242 went down this weekend. Khabib stopped Dustin Poirier by submission in the third round. We're going to talk about that fight, the event, and also all the fallout from it. Also, Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal is official for about 8 weeks' time.
Yeah.
We're going to chat about that. And before we move on, quick announcement. The podcast is moving day. Did you know this, Sean? I don't know if I told you this.
You probably didn't.
Yeah. You have to show up next Wednesday because the podcast is going to be every Thursday.
Send me location.
Yeah. Location here next Wednesday this time.
Sweet.
So yeah, the podcast is moving to Thursdays. So don't be looking out on Tuesdays. Something else might come out on Tuesdays or Mondays. We'll announce that soon. But the podcast is moving to Thursdays. But let's move on. Let's talk about some face punching. UFC 242 went down last weekend. Khabib Nurmagomedov made it 28-0 against Dustin Poirier. And it was a good card. I thought it was from top to bottom, I thought it was a really fun card. And Khabib definitely delivered in the main event in Abu Dhabi. Interesting arena. It was actually called the arena. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Because the actual arena they were supposed to use wasn't ready, so they used basically a tent.
Basically
with
a pop-up
bleachers.
tent,
Yeah, apparently it was ridiculously warm, and I know people were worried in the main event for people's safety and the grappling.
The real field temperature in the arena was touching 125 degrees.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
insanity.
So if you've never listened to this podcast before, what we do here is we talk about the fights, but we also talk about the fallout from the fight, so what's going to happen next. And there's a lot of talk about who Khabib should fight next, and of course it's Tony Ferguson. But there's some other names in there as well, and Dana White has mentioned the one Conor McGregor potentially next if Tony doesn't take the fight. But first, let's get into the fight. Let's get into Khabib's performance. What's your initial thoughts, or what's your thoughts on the fight itself and Khabib's win against Dustin Poirier?
I mean, Khabib was just being Khabib, really. I mean, Dustin
Smash.
Dustin had moments. He backed Khabib up with a couple of shots. He had the guillotine in. I know a lot of people thought the guillotine was deep. Khabib said it was deep.
Yeah.
He also said he was expecting a couple of guillotine attempts from Dustin.
He likes to do that, yeah.
Yeah, his defense of the guillotine was brilliant.
Beautiful.
Really good. Dustin was saying afterwards he should have jumped guard. I'm not sure. Would it have made a massive difference? Because then if you don't get it, you'll flatten your arse with Khabib on top of you. So Khabib's just, like, Dustin's world class. Khabib is just that elite level.
Yeah, I think that's what Khabib showed. He showed that he's just that much better than most of the guys in the division. Yeah. We can talk about whether he's that much better than Tony Ferguson next, because that's the fight that should happen. But I was super impressed. But isn't Khabib getting to that point where if you do anything against him, like if you show any cracks, and I don't even think Dustin showed many cracks in Khabib's game, but if you show anything, people will not criticise Khabib, but say, you know, he's lacking in a certain area. Yeah. And I think that's what we saw here. Khabib hit him with Dustin hit him with a nice shot. Didn't wobble him really, you can maybe say it stunned him a little bit.
Buzzed him.
Yeah. Like it was a shot that hit, and it was a good shot from
Khabib,
a big puncher. Hit. Exactly, and Khabib just got out of there and then dominated the rest of the fight. But yeah. Do you think, because this is what happened, right? So Khabib after the fight said he wants to be number one pound for pound. The pound for pound rankings are a bit ridiculous. You know, it's kind of silly talking about them. But is he the pound for pound number one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
too.
he is. Even the argument is there for Jones, obviously. Khabib is just running through guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen John in his last couple of fights sort of
struggle a little bit.
Struggle
a little bit.
I mean, against Santos, you could argue he struggled through his own fault. The fight with Anthony Smith wasn't the most exciting. Khabib is running through guys, like the best of the best in the lightweight division.
At lightweight as well.
Yeah, lightweight is stacked. Light heavyweight's a bit stinky.
Yeah, that's the thing with John Jones, and I think it's unfortunate as well because John Jones is a huge star for the UFC.
He arguably makes the division look worse than it maybe is as well.
He does, but the weird thing about it is he does that, whereas Khabib doesn't. Like, I think at lightweight, even though Khabib is dominating all these guys, it's still super interesting. Yeah. So I do think there's a problem with light heavyweight at the moment.
There's a lot going on below Khabib in the division. Yeah,
exactly. And there's just not that one guy. Like, I mean, if Daniel Cormier went back down and fought John Jones, I think you have a case of John Jones beating him. But if John Jones goes on and fights Blachowicz, that's who apparently Dana White said is next. No offense against Blachowicz and no disrespect, he's a great fighter. but like he's not at the level of John Jones, and he's not a contender that people are going to be excited about. Whereas Khabib Nurmagomedov, go down his record, he just beat Conor McGregor. He just beat Dustin Poirier. Before that, just then beat Conor McGregor. And then like Aloy Quinta, people, you know, talk about that one, still a great win. But like Edson Barbosa and Michael Johnson, these are legit wins. Whereas John Jones fighting kind of Santos and Smith, who are really good, it's just not people, they're just not fighters who people will get that much excited about.
The one thing I will say, I'm going to contradict myself here a little bit. I do want to see you fight at multiple weight classes to be pound for pound. If that makes sense. Yeah,
like the pound for pound argument doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyway. So,
I think we will see Khabib at 170 at some stage in the future. I'd be quite surprised if we didn't. I know we talked of early retirement, but he's so big. Man, he looked bad at the weigh-ins. He sounded bad as well on the embedded clips. But
that's probably why he'll retire sooner.
As in, we haven't seen. Jones has no interest in going up to heavyweight.
No, I think you got to show him the money. But I thought it was a classic Khabib performance. I thought he showed some good stuff on the feet as well. Even defensively, like he didn't get hit a lot, that one shot. And then once you get taken down by Khabib, and I think Luke Thomas was talking about this, once you try to start building yourself back up at the cage, it just doesn't work. So that's what makes the fight against Tony Ferguson, we'll move on a little bit to that, interesting, is because Tony Ferguson will attack off his back. Will it be effective? We can discuss that. I don't know. We need to think about it. But at least he will do that. And Dustin Poirier tried it and was close. So I think that kind of adds a different dimension to the fight. That Tony Ferguson will at least try attack off his back. It'll be a little bit different.
And he's so unorthodox on his feet. Dustin was quite Noel was actually saying this to me as well in the office today. He was like, Dustin was quite untechnical on his feet when it did go down. It would have been interesting to see if he could have kept it on the feet a bit longer. I
think the problem with what happened there was that Dustin was so worried about that takedown. He was like so worried about it.
And that's what Khabib does. He doesn't need to be technical on his feet. He just needs to have you worried about the takedown.
Exactly, and then what happened when Dustin did buzz Khabib a little bit? He went after him, kind of classic Dustin Poirier. His defense was not there. Didn't really matter a whole lot. Khabib landed a good shot, but he just completely tired himself out, which is understandable because in his mind at that time, especially when we seen him go to his corner and say to his coach, Matt Brown,
I just can't fucking get him off
Mike
me.
Brown. I said this time. I just can't get him off me. So when he has him hurt, of course he's going to chase the finish. Of course. And Dustin is good at doing that. But completely tires himself out. Gets taken down, goes for a guillotine, gets choked.
I think that quote pretty much encapsulates everything you need to know about Khabib, doesn't it? It's brilliant.
Like. I just can't get him off.
I can't get him off me. And he's so clever the way he ties your legs up when he has you square against the fence. That is just so clever. Because you can't do anything. And you're going to tire yourself out trying to move. You can't do anything.
I was watching Luke Thomas's breakdown as well afterwards, or his post-fight thing, and he was talking about how Khabib, his argument is that he's the best grappler we've ever seen in MMA. And I do agree. I think overall, like for everything that he does, and Luke made great points about why he's the best grappler, but he does everything perfect. And in MMA, you do have to take grappling as itself, with submissions, wrestling, but also the striking game on the floor as well. That's very important, and it's part of the game. And Khabib just does that better than everybody. It's ridiculous.
His ground and pound when he has it on top of you, it's disgusting. Oh my God. Like the sound of those elbows is sick.
One thing I noticed as well, have you noticed that at the end of every round, he will try land a huge shot? He will he's vicious at the end of the rounds.
He's an animal, man.
And after rounds as well, with Conor jump out there, Ferguson versus Khabib should be next. We'll get onto the other stuff in a minute. It should be next. So assuming that they're all going to be fit, Tony Ferguson accepts the fight, which he should. They can work out contracts and all the stuff that has to happen for this fight to happen. Who do you see winning the fight? No, I'm joking.
Jesus Christ, Rob.
Has to happen,
it has to happen. Who,
It just you can't even. There's no even point to saying why it has to happen, because it just should.
Everyone knows why it has to happen. Even so, I had a couple of friends around. I was live tweeting on the page. I hope everyone who followed along enjoyed. Nice bit of interaction with people about bets and stuff. Anyway, I had a couple of friends around as well. That's why I kind of went missing towards the end of the night, because I was running around sorting food and stuff.
Scrapping and all,
but my friends who aren't very casual MMA fans, they said Khabib and Ferguson has to be next. So they know who Ferguson is. That's what they want to see. Casuals.
Exactly. And hardcore MMA fans like us want to see it too. So, Ferguson and Khabib, I think it's interesting, as I said, because Ferguson will attempt submissions off his back. He'll attempt a sweep. He'll attempt a lot of things. Do I think it's going to work? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think we've seen with Ferguson in the past that when he does try these things, he puts himself in bad positions.
Mm-hmm.
And against lesser grapplers, that's fine because he can scramble out there. I don't think it's going to happen with Khabib, but at least he will try. And when you have somebody who's so dominant, and he's so dominant in every kind of aspect of the sport, I think you have to have a guy with some kind of, like secret weapon almost, like for what Ferguson has, like these kind of unorthodox, the intangibles that Ferguson has for him to be caught. So, like, I'm not saying that Ferguson can't win the fight. I think he can catch him, but I do think it's going to be a problem when it hits the floor and Ferguson's going for submissions. That Khabib has seen a lot of these.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's still fun.
Tony probably would have jumped out on that guillotine and then say you don't get it, you're on your arse, and Khabib's on top of you, hitting you with elbows and mauling you and talking to you and telling you to quit, telling you to give up.
But does Ferguson have a better guillotine? Maybe. Like, Poirier has a great guillotine, but does Ferguson have a better one? Maybe. Yeah,
to be perfectly honest, I don't see anyone at 155 beating Khabib.
Either do I.
I don't. I think the only thing that ever beats Khabib is size. As he was to move up, I don't think anyone at 155 can possibly make weight at 155 to beat him. I think Tony gives him a great fight. Early pick is Khabib, but I'm such a sucker as well. As it gets closer and I'm watching like promos for it and stuff, I'm like, oh, Tony can do it, man. I did it the other night with Dustin as the heat was in the arena, and you're following stuff on Twitter and you're listening to other fighters coming out of the arena and they're talking about what a factor it was. You're like, oh, maybe Dustin can do it. Dustin was getting backed in Vegas as well on the money line, so I'm such a sucker for that. So that could change as the fight comes round, but right now I don't see anyone beating Khabib.
I don't either, but Tony's definitely the most interesting challenge at that weight, like 100%, like everywhere. As you said, he's so unorthodox in the feet.
He's just a wild man.
He's a wild man, and he's a good wrestler too. Like, very rarely will he get taken down. So there's definite interest in there, and it's just a fight that has to happen. They've tried to do it like 4 times, 5 times.
5 times the charm.
5 times the charm, so 4 times. It's 5 times the charm. But if that fight doesn't happen, if all the things don't line up that has to happen to make this fight happen, apparently Conor McGregor makes sense according to Dana White.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Why would you say that?
He's planting a seed. We were talking about this over WhatsApp. He's planting a seed is what he's fucking doing.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, isn't it?
But the way he even said about the Tony fight, he was like, if Tony doesn't take, or if Tony decides not to take it.
Yeah, what's that mean?
You've been cryptic with us, Dana?
Yeah, exactly. What's that mean? Why would you even go there?
So, to me, in my head, I'm thinking he's going to offer Tony fuck all money, and Tony's obviously going to say no, because he's not an idiot. If you're fighting Khabib, you want to get paid.
Yeah.
And then he's going to offer the rematch to Conor. We're all going to have to put up with that fucking shit again.
Man, that would be awful.
There isn't a fight I want to see less headline of pay-per-view than that fight right now.
Yeah.
Like, don't want to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of scary because, number one, why would he even say that? Why would he say if Tony doesn't take the fight? Like, why go there?
Because he doesn't matchmake after fights, let alone go down the route of if that doesn't happen, well, we do this. So, anyway. And
then on the second, number 2, is that, remember a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago or so, Dana was talking about how Conor wants to come back soon, but he wants to wait for the couple of fights to happen in the division.
Yeah.
After the Nate Diaz fight, didn't budge. There was no talks of that fight happening. Now suddenly after the Khabib fight, Conor McGregor's in the news, and from Dana's mouth as well. So that's kind of scary because Conor was waiting for something, and it seems like this is the fight he was waiting on, so it looks like it's going to be some kind of deal done here. Yeah. I hope it's not. I really hope it's not.
So I have no problem really with Conor coming back and getting the first fight with Khabib. I don't think the first fight after the layoff, I didn't really have an issue with him coming back and skipping the queue.
All right,
yeah, sorry, I didn't have an issue the first time skipping the queue.
Yeah, me too. That fight kind of had to happen.
Yeah, I think now, like his argument would have been what he's done for the company previously. Jeez, I don't know if that argument still holds up now. Like, does it?
I don't think so.
When did he last win a fight? Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Was that 2016? I don't know.
2017?
I don't know. We'll check it. Google it. I'll Google it. But yeah, it's scary. And the major thing about it as well, even if you're a Conor McGregor fan, is that do you really think that fight is winnable now? Because I don't. Like, I didn't see anything from Khabib in that fight to see he's regressed anywhere. I've seen that he's progressed, if anything. And Conor being out, I don't think is going to be beneficial to him.
November 2016, he fought Eddie Alvarez.
Jesus.
At MSG. So he hasn't won a fight since then.
Yeah. What about the one in the bar? Sorry. Had to go there.
Low hanging fruit and all that.
Yeah. So many people have made that joke, but I gotta get in there. But yeah, I'm just saying, it's even if you're a Conor McGregor fan, you're still a fan after all the stuff that happens. Like, I'll definitely watch his fights, but if you're a fan and you want him to compete for the title, do you really feel like he can beat Khabib at this point? Especially with the layoff and Khabib being active. I just don't think so.
And I don't see how you prepare for Khabib in camp. You're not going to get someone to replicate him. At least if you're fighting a southpaw, you can get a southpaw in, or you can get someone to mimic something. How do you mimic Khabib without getting getting his brother in or something?
Yeah. Get Islam in.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, that's the fight that has to happen. Was there any other things that you've seen or follow from this fight itself? You found interesting?
The heat coming like on the night, watching the card live as it was interesting. Following on Twitter, a lot of people talking about the heat and just how much that. I think that played a massive factor in Dustin getting backed in Vegas.
I think so.
Money-wise,
yeah, because people were all over, weren't they? Like all the journalists were saying it's insane.
Poor Pete Carroll was over there melting in the arena.
Yeah. I was watching their preview show. Well done, Pete, and you're probably not listening, but well done on that preview show. That was fucking hilarious. It was very funny. And one thing I did think was funny was that when he was talking about Paul Felder being whiter than he is, and it's actually true. I'd say Paul Felder was in a fucking hoop in there. Yeah. Jesus, he's so white.
Yeah.
I know he's the Irish Dragon and all, but Jesus Christ.
Man, that's a white guy right there.
That is a white motherfucker. I asked you a question last week. Do you remember what this question was?
No. I don't remember what I had for breakfast, Rob.
The UFC put up McGregor versus Khabib on their YouTube page. And
I
asked you how many views it would get.
I said 30 mil.
You said 30 million. I think you were way off.
It was more.
Less.
Go away.
Less.
Way less?
Yes, way less. Let me find this. Sorry,
Jeez.
This is very bad television. I'm sorry.
Because which fight was it? The Iaquinta or the Johnson one had done 18 mil? Mm-hmm. Surely done more than that. Come on.
I don't think so. Let me check it. Sorry, this is very bad television.
This is on YouTube, this one.
Yeah.
I'm blaming YouTube for this.
That can happen, you know. Great videos sometimes don't get enormous views. You know what I mean? 15
mil. Check the other ones.
Michael Johnson, 18 mil. I know, like, that was two weeks worth of views.
Damn.
This is 1 week worth of views, but
damn, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? That's interesting.
Do you think that's a decline in popularity for Conor? I don't know if that is. I don't know if it's just like YouTube is a weird thing, all right? YouTube.
Yeah, there's the algorithm.
There's an algorithm. If you get suggested with the algorithm, your views are going to be great. If you don't, your views are going to be terrible. I'm sure the UFC have to get suggested all the time. But the way it works, like, you know, that was the first free fight from this fight to be put up. So maybe YouTube leaned towards that one that got more. I don't know. But it's weird.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways you could go on that one.
Yeah. You weren't even halfway there, Sean.
Yeah. I think when we see McGregor fight again, when you see the pay-per-view buys after that fight, you'll be able to take more from it then. I think we're going to have to see what follows from there to take anything from that. Does that make sense?
I think that makes sense. Yes.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting. So yeah, great fight. Well done, Khabib. Tony has to be next. Let's do it. In the co-main event, Paul Felder beat Edson Barbosa in a close split decision. Agree, disagree with the decision?
Don't really agree or disagree. It's a close fight. It can go either way. I know a lot of people thought Barbosa should have got the decision. Look, close fight. It's go either way. I thought the two 30-27s that went either way were a bit off.
Yeah.
But I've said this to you before a million times. Close fights sort of lead to skewed scorecards. I mean, you can't just score a fight as a close fight. If you're a judge, you're going to generally see it one way or the other. So that's what generally leads to skewed scorecards. I can see why the third round was given to Felder. He was the one backing him up, but Noel said it to me. I think he was probably right. Barbosa was probably landing the cleaner work. It's one of them. I
think that's exactly what happened. I think Felder was the guy coming forward, and Edson probably landed the nicer and cleaner shots, but I was fine with it. Yeah. Edson Barbosa's team came out and said they're going to appeal the loss to Paul Felder.
That never goes anywhere.
A waste of time.
Yeah.
And
even in the wind.
even if it was an egregious decision, waste of time, and it wasn't. It was a fine decision. It wasn't
a 30-27 all across the board to Barboza.
Exactly.
That he didn't get.
It wasn't Machida Shogun.
Great fight though. Really fun fight to watch.
Really fun fight.
Lots of blood. So I had my mates around watching it, and they were like, "This is sick. This is sick." And I was sitting there fucking loving it. I was like, this is great.
This is my kind of fight. Paul Felder said that he wants big fights now in the future. He called out, all the big boys, like McGregor and all that. That'd be fun. But then also in the Makhachev fight, Makhachev called out Paul Felder. Both guys win. Do you think that fight makes sense? I think at this point, rightfully so, Paul Felder should be looking for someone a bit higher up.
Yeah, I think that's a high risk fight for Felder.
I agree.
Not a massive amount of reward now. Are you Quinta maybe for Felder?
Yeah, maybe. That'd be fun.
Coming off an L as well.
Yeah. There's plenty of good matchups there. But Paul Felder looked good. Islam Makhachev looked good as well.
Very good,
So I think Khabib like lay his title down in front of Makhachev after his fight as well, saying that you're going to be a future champion. That was kind of cool. Curtis Blades kind of done what we expect Curtis Blades to do. Yeah, wasn't even close. I was surprised.
The biggest betting favorite on the card.
Diego Ferreira was very, very impressive. That guy has got gas. Yeah, and in the cardio prospect. He looks good, doesn't he?
To have that cardio in that heat is sick. Yeah,
it's insane. And it looks like he's sped up over the rounds. And I wonder if Tyson-off, because he seemed to slow down a little bit, it was, partially or probably a lot due to Ferreira's game plan, just coming forward. But the fact that he can't fight that often, Tyson-off, basically issues. Only when they fight outside of the US. But Ferreira looked good. Joanne Calderwood looked good. Was there anyone else on the prelims that you thought?
Yeah, I enjoyed the Tuhugov and Lerone Murphy fight. I was impressed with Lerone Murphy. I saw a lot of people. I actually tweeted. I expected Tuhugov to get the decision, but a fair point was that he got a lot of takedowns and didn't really do a whole fight on the ground. He was very tired. Didn't really get any ground and pound going. Just kind of sat on him. Ref gave him a couple of warnings for it. I was very impressed with Lerone Murphy in the stand-up. I thought one guy dominated the stand-up, one guy dominated the wrestling. I thought a draw. I was okay with a draw. So interested to see what comes of Murphy as he gets more fights under his belt.
Yeah, me too. He looked good. Just a few little tidbits on the event. The Khabib post-fight interview has 8 million views on YouTube now.
Damn.
After 1 day.
Damn.
About 1 day and a half. 8 million.
Khabib's a star, man.
He is a star.
Bona fide star now, I think.
Yeah, a lot of Russians out there. That's insane. And also another little tidbit on Khabib's stardom is that Khabib's UFC 242 victory has been viewed 26 million times in Russia as his homeland stardom hits new heights.
What do you reckon the pay-per-view did?
I don't know, because you have that big ESPN Plus barrier, so I don't know.
And the time as well, different time in America.
Yeah, look, I think if this was pre-ESPN Plus,
500k.
No, I think more.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, I think way more. Yeah, because I know it was trending close to the McGregor fight. I don't think it does close to that.
Do you think it does over a million?
I think it's over a mil.
Okay.
I really do.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what it does.
Like if it does like above 500,000 now with the ESPN Plus thing, jeez, that'd be amazing. That'd be unreal. Yeah. That was the card. It was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it. But let's move on and look forward to a card coming up in a few months, or exactly 8 weeks, is it? UFC 244.
Pretty much 8 weeks, I think.
8 weeks. The headliner, Sean. Yes. Get ready for this.
No title fight. Is no title. Well, a title.
A title
not
fight.
The title.
Which title is this?
The BMF title. The BMF badass motherfucker title.
Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal will headline UFC 244 in MSG. That's Madison Square Garden. No title fights apart from the BMF title. And everybody's happy about this.
Yeah, so fine with it.
Yeah.
We've always said you don't need a title to headline a pay-per-view.
You just want an interesting fight. Yeah. You want a fight that people want to see and pay for. It doesn't matter if there's a title attached to it. Even though the UFC need to add titles so much to fucking fights, they're adding a fake title to it. Although,
But we love it. Our friend Chuck Minenhall wrote an article for The Athletic, and it was really funny. It is kind of boxing-ish to add a title like this to a fight. I mean, the fight doesn't need this title to be meaningful, but this is one we're all like, I fucking love this.
Because it makes sense in a way. You know what I mean?
I mean, Nate called for it.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I'm so glad they made this fight. So we'll talk about the Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington stuff in a minute because it kind of relates to this. But it looked like this fight might not have actually happened, which we'll get into this now. I was thinking about this is that I understand the UFC have, events to fill. They need to fill pay-per-views. But it seems like right now they don't really make the fights people want to see. They just make the fights that they can make. Yeah. Because the UFC was like on the verge of not making this fight. A fight that makes sense to so many people. A big fight. And the UFC almost fucked it up. They almost fucked it up. I understand why. Because they have these events that they have to fill. But it's just mad that we're in a situation now where if a fight makes so much sense, like Khabib versus Tony, it doesn't really matter if the UFC have to push to make that fight and they need to maybe pay a little bit more money or maybe move it to a different date. They're not going to do it. Yeah, they need to fill the event.
I think this is the effect of basically having the guarantee on pay-per-views with ESPN.
I agree.
I mean, this fight wouldn't have been made if Kamaru and Colby hadn't sort of fucked about crazy.
Pretty much.
That would have been the fight that would have been made. I think it would have been shocking for fans to miss out on this fight. Yeah. It's such a fun one. It's just two gangsters thrown down. Really. Yeah. So,
and it's capitalizing on two guys who are at their biggest,
striking while on top.
Exactly. Yeah. They're at their biggest star at this moment. Like Nate Diaz has never been as popular, even after he beat Conor. He's way more popular.
I didn't think Nate could come back from 3 years off and do this. So why not?
It's phenomenal. And and it's also when you think about it, it's like Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, guys have been around for so long.
Two OGs.
Yeah, never really made a whole lot of money, and now they're headlining MSG
on a pay-per-view. They're going to make bank
with no title fight on it. Yeah, just because they're stars. Yeah, that's kind of fucking awesome.
I do hope they're getting pay-per-view points all the same.
They got it. Yeah, they have to. Yeah. That's probably part of the contract they were negotiating. They're going to make bank.
Yeah,
big time.
I'm looking forward to seeing the belt as well.
Yeah, apparently Dana said that they're actually going to commission a belt to be done. If you could come up with the belt, what does it look like? What's the aesthetic to it?
I seen a couple of suggestions on Twitter. Were quite funny. Yeah, they were kind of like someone actually suggested the old UFC belt, right? But then
the old one, the original one,
the one that
with the man or the
previous one, the previous one.
The gold belt.
And basically, just spray paint BMF over
like the NWO and WCW. Yeah, that'd be fucking awesome. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, cheap as well. Get one of them belts. Yeah, now you already have one. Yeah. I wonder what they're gonna do with it. It's kind of funny. Like I don't mind it.
It's very funny
once they don't do it too much.
Yeah, as in a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's like boxing now. Who cares? We don't want to see it." It's just fun. Like I said this to you earlier. There is a reason for all the belts in boxing. Obviously, you have the 4 organisations, but there's ranking belts below that. And basically, what they are is just an excuse for the organisations to get sanctioning money to get you in the rankings. So if I'm fighting, say, sanctioned by the WBC, which is the one that everyone kind of knows, I'll pay whatever X fee to get a shitty little belt put on the line for my fight. And that basically just, if you win that fight, you basically get in the top 15 of the rankings, and that makes you available to fight for a world title. That's all that is. You could pay that same sanctioning fee and not get a belt and get in the rankings. Yeah. Same thing. This belt means nothing. Yeah. But it means a lot at the same time.
Yeah. But the fact that I don't think the UFC are going to come around and say this is a prestigious belt. Like they're not going to promote it that way. They're promoting it as in
it's fun.
It's a badass fight.
It's a fun one. Yeah,
it's a fun one.
It kind of gets back to the old days of the UFC.
I love it. Yeah, it does. And it's around 8 weeks away. It's close. That's what makes it even better. We don't have to wait too much.
Yeah, we don't even need promos for this one. Come on,
Not really, no.
Show us the belt. Get us one press conference and we're happy out, man. The press conference would be fun, actually, won't it?
Yeah. It's just mad when you think about it. Like, this fight 4 years ago would be on a fight night card. Might have headlined it. Could have co-headlined it. Yeah. It's fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah. This seems like a fight that opens a pay-per-view card.
Back in the day. Yeah. And, like, now it's just, like...
It's huge.
This is rightfully so.
Now it has casuals talking about it.
Yeah.
As in, my mates that were over said, "Geez, that's a scrap."
They're all over.
Like, yeah, it is.
Love it. So as I said, Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington were actually, I didn't say this, but they're actually supposed to headline this event. Yes. But apparently what happened was this. So they were negotiating a contract, whatever, and the negotiations stalled with Colby Covington first. So the UFC were like,
surprise.
So the UFC were like, fuck this, and they tried to do Usman versus Masvidal. Masvidal agreed, Usman didn't, so they couldn't come to a deal with Usman. So then they reached out apparently to Leon Edwards to do a vacant title against Masvidal. And then, according to Ariel Helwani, there was no real reason why, but it said that it didn't get very far. And then it said that talks reignited with Diaz. And then by Thursday night, it was looking very promising. And then they made Diaz versus Masvidal for MSG. And now Colby Covington versus Usman is just kind of out there, and they probably are going to renegotiate to try make it happen. Okay.
A lot there.
So, is this a blessing in disguise for Usman and Covington, or probably Covington more so than Usman, that all this shit happened and Usman didn't actually confirm his fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think Colby has fucked himself again.
Yeah,
probably.
I wonder what's happening. It's got to be money.
Yeah, I think it kind of just gives, Ariel said it, I think it just gives the two of them kind of time to just reset.
Yeah.
Because I actually didn't know that they reached out to Leon Edwards for a vacant title fight. So, as I understood it, it was they tried to make Kamaru and Colby. Colby basically priced himself out. Then they tried to make the Masvidal fight with Kamaru, and Kamaru sort of hemmed and hawed on that one. I assume that was for money because, whatever, in his eyes, Jorge is a lesser fighter, so he wanted a bit more money. And then they tried to make, they did. I did see Ariel say they threatened to strip him, but that didn't get too far.
Yeah.
I actually said this to you earlier. I think there is an argument to be made for stripping him. I wouldn't agree with it, but I think there's a strong enough argument there to do it. 2 fights didn't happen with him. 2 contenders. You haven't fought in 10 months. Yeah. By the time this Jorge and Nate fight happens, and like if Jorge and Nate fight now, does the winner of that get a title shot?
Probably. Maybe.
Haven't fought. Nate will haven't fought. I think Jorge was more deserving after the 3 wins than Nate would be after those 2 wins.
I agree. But yeah, I think either one, like I'd be fine with either one. But here's an interesting thought, because I was listening to Mixed Molly Wappery. He done a video on Colby Covington, and at the end he done like fan questions, and he was asked about Covington and if he loses what will happen. And the fact that Covington is like, you know, he's playing this character and he seems to be, you know, picking up attention, but maybe not numbers in terms of people tuning in to watch him. Does a loss really hurt him? So now I'm thinking is Covington thinking the same thing? Going in here and saying, okay, I have this shot against Usman. If I lose this, I potentially lose a lot, because I don't know if you remember this, Sean, but a few years ago when before Covington was like playing this character, he was just like being respectful and being like every other MMA fighter. Like he was a completely different guy. The UFC threatened to cut him if he lost a fight, and he was on like a 4 or 5 fight win streak or something like that. It was insane.
Why was that?
Just that he was boring. Basically, you were boring. You know, he was just winning fights and nothing was happening. And
I mean, the Robbie fight was quite exciting.
Yeah, this was before. Yeah, it was way before this. But that's just when Covington changed his persona and became this MAGA guy and all this shit.
Yeah, I think a loss hurts him more than a lot of other fighters.
I agree.
Mean, we've seen Till go on a 2-fight streak.
Yeah.
He's taking fucking gas to him next. Anyway, beside the point. I think one loss hurts Colby the same way, say 3 or 4 losses hurt other guys.
I agree. I really do.
He just put himself in that situation, and it's live by the sword, die by the sword.
Exactly. And it's different to like Conor, who you could have said that a similar thing could have happened because he was, you know, so brash about everything. But I just think the way he took the loss. Then you look at the guys he was fighting as well. Yeah, exactly. But I think the way he was so respectful in loss and win, in winning and losing, it changed things. But with Covington, if he loses, people jump all over that.
He's done.
And then, you know, he probably won't get a title fight anytime soon.
Yeah, I think what you could see happen if he takes a loss, they're not going to cut him after a loss, but you could see him absolutely get thrown in the deep end straight away after that. So my point is this Covington saying, this is my big shot, I need to make some money off this, because if it doesn't go my way, potentially. I hope it's his management saying that anyway.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'd imagine so. I think Kamaru's point is interesting here. Obviously he was happy to take the Colby fight, it wasn't on his end.
Yeah.
Where the issue is coming with the Jorge fight, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I suppose he wanted a bit more money for that one. I suppose that was
maybe, but isn't it weird? Do you think that like Jorge? I think probably him and Jorge do more pay-per-view numbers, I think, than Covington. Even though there's some kind of beef there, I just think Jorge is the bigger star right now. So it doesn't really make sense in that situation for me. Yeah,
I agree. I think Jorge does more pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine the UFC offered him less money for Jorge.
Wow.
I'd imagine that's what happened, and he said I want at least the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot going on there. Yeah.
It's a peek into a UFC matchmaker's job.
I think we're going to see a lot happen now at the back end of the year after this fight is made.
Yeah.
I think February maybe. January, February, you could see that fight try to possibly rebooked.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an argument here for a legitimate argument for an interim title here.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, if Usman doesn't fight,
Yeah, because by the time he fights, it's going to be a long time.
It wouldn't even surprise me if like something happened. They couldn't get negotiations going with Covington and Usman, and then they were like, all right, fuck the BMF title, there's a vacant, or there's a fucking interim title going on.
We're stripping you. I mean, I could potentially see Colby or Kamaru being stripped at the next negotiation.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Well,
apparently he was pulled from all his appearances in Abu Dhabi as well. For that as well.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
A lot going on now.
I hope the fight happens. I think it should happen.
Yeah.
You know, Covington, like, say what you will about Covington, but he has waited a long time for this title fight, and he's won the fights he has to win.
At this stage, he deserves to fight, man. After piecing up Robbie like he did.
But we don't know what the fuck he's asking for at the negotiation table, so there is that.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised to hear him overestimating his value, would you?
Yeah, I want 6 million.
Yeah.
Khabib got 6 million. I want 6 million.
Yeah, I want fucking Donald Trump to present me with the belt after the fight.
Yeah, you don't know what he's talking about. But anyway, Chris Cyborg signed with Bellator.
Yes, sir.
Did you see this?
Yes.
Apparently, it's the largest women's contract in MMA history.
Did you see Luke Thomas' video on this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Can I guess what you said?
Go on.
Is it something to do with pay-per-view points?
No.
No? All right.
No. He basically said, what does large mean? Does it mean large in how many fights it is? Does it mean large in how much guaranteed money it's worth? Does it mean large in potential money?
Yeah.
So what does large mean? Large means a lot of things.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, so I seen that Scott Coker said that it's going to match anything that Rousey made with the UFC.
But then Luke also went into percentage of money apportioned to fighters from Bellator based on the previous figures, and then based on UFC figures, so it could mean large in that sense because she's getting a bigger portion of their revenue. Yeah.
Huh.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. My way, my kind of little workaround that, or the kind of game they're playing potentially, is that maybe it's the largest fight purse, but not the largest potential money for like pay-per-view points, because Bellator don't do pay-per-views. At least they don't do many. Yeah. So like, you know, Ronda Rousey would have got pay-per-view points on the pay-per-view she done, and she done quite well on them.
Largest guarantee.
But the largest guarantee maybe.
Yeah. Basically what I took from it was she's earning a lot of money. So I was like, fair play though.
And she's getting a title fight against Julia Budd in her debut, which I think is warranted. Yeah. Julia Budd doesn't really have any contenders anyway.
What else you do though for her first fight? Like.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one though.
Me too. Yeah, I'm glad. And they brought her out as well. Big John McCarthy gave her an interview in the middle of the cage, and it was kind of good. It's classic Scott Coker, but I liked it. Yeah. Other news. Cage Warriors Unplugged 2 went down on the weekend as well. There was a lot of fights on the weekend. Yes. Did you check it out?
I haven't watched it. I've seen the main clips of it. I will go back and watch it on Fight Pass. Give me a free subscription, please. Yeah. Our own friend of the show, Ian Gary, got a win. Paul Hughes.
Yes.
Ian went sort of viral, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
With that question mark KO.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
A lot of people talking about him. The future.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was really cool. Decky McAleenan actually lost in the car as well. They're Irish.
Close fight though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a close enough fight. But yeah, it was kind of an event where you came out, and I was chatting with somebody on Reddit actually. So I put a video that I done this week of McGregor up on Reddit. Got some good reactions on Reddit too. Go check it out. It'll be at the end of this video. But there was an Irish guy talking about basically Irish MMA, and he was saying how like excited he was about Irish MMA going forward after watching Cage Warriors, because he was so impressed with the guys on the card.
There's a lot of guys coming up.
But like really good guys. Like these are like Paul Hughes is what? So that was 3-0 for Paul Hughes. He doesn't look like a 3-0 fighter.
Ian 2-0.
Ian is 2-0. He does not look like a 2-0 fighter at all. Like the guy he was fighting was 4-1. So he's more experienced, but Ian just doesn't look like that. I think it's to do with the level of amateur experience that guys get in Ireland. Like Ian had a lot of amateur fights, Paul had a lot of amateur fights, so
it is again, it's the next generation of kids coming up. So like these guys have been in the gym training all disciplines since probably 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're so well rounded, and their disciplines are tailored to mixed martial arts. So their boxing is tailored to MMA. Yeah. Their jiu-jitsu is tailored to MMA. Everything is tailored to MMA. They're not training boxing. They're not going training wrestling and then trying to incorporate it into MMA. Yeah. They're just so well rounded.
They're MMA fighters.
Yeah, exactly.
And some corner for Ian Gary as well.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cahill, Chris Fields, and was it Colin, Chris Fields, and who else?
James Webb. Current champ. Awesome. Yeah. Bellator also went down on the weekend. I didn't actually get to see the card.
So Czech Congo.
And then see what happened.
Quinton Jackson
Rampage comes in and gets into a little altercation with Ryan Bader because it was an eye poke, and Chet Congo and Quinton are teammates / friends. I don't know what the fuck happened. It was weird, but Bellator went down as well.
I didn't know this card was on until... When was it on? Was it on Friday?
Saturday as well.
I didn't see it till Thursday or Friday that it was on.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and check it out. There's so many fights on. It's hard to keep up with all these fights.
I very much enjoyed the early card. I seen a few people in America complaining.
Yeah.
Unlucky folks.
Yeah.
We have to get one now and again.
It's early for them.
Yeah.
It's not like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know?
And I seen one guy actually tweet. He said, don't know what all these Irish guys complaining about, UK fans complaining about. It's so fine. I just stayed up late last night and got it going or something. You don't have any idea about like staying up till 6 in the morning.
Yeah, and then Sunday like a fucking zombie.
You're
and then
a
going
vegetable
to work
on Sunday.
Yeah, and then going to work on Monday. Jeez.
Fucks you, man. Appreciate what you got.
Yeah, fucks you up. Pedro Carvalho actually got a win on that card against a UFC veteran in Sam Cecilia. Pedro Carvalho fights out of SPG. Looks like a
bit
great
of a prospect
fighter.
as well. Yeah.
Definitely. He's 11-3 and he's moving on in that tournament. So great stuff there. Any other news that you've seen? The other thing I had was Jan Blachowicz potentially getting the next title fight against John Jones. No disrespect, but there's just not really interesting fights there for John Jones.
I'm trying to think. There's definitely something. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, did we talk about Taylor and Gastelum?
I think we did.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
We did
okay. Last week. Yeah.
That's a crack on. I'm trying to think what else got made.
Apparently, The Rock wants to put the BMF belt around the waist of Diaz versus Masvidal.
That's cool. I like that.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, please, let's have that.
Please do that. Oh man, I love that. So here's a tweet from Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He basically said, doing all that I can to make this fight. If I can and you win, I'll put the belt around your waist at MSG.
Yeah, can we just we need to get this shit as popular as possible. Get The Rock in now. Get him to ref the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Get The Rock to ref it.
Special guest referee, The Rock.
Yeah. It's the BMF belt. It better be a BMF fight, like.
Yeah.
Get The Rock in.
That's pretty fun. But yeah, that's all the news we have for you today. Comment below with your thoughts on anything that we spoke about. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on iTunes or wherever you're listening, comment somewhere. I think you can comment somewhere.
You can comment on Podbean as well.
You can comment on Podbean, give us a comment, and go over to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe. We're trying to build that up. But yeah, there's a card on this weekend. Let's break it down. UFC on ESPN plus 16. Cowboy versus Gaethje goes down this coming weekend. It's not an early card, I don't think, so it's not as good for us over this side of the pond, but it has a cracking main event, a really fun one. It's Donald Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje. I'm going to pass it over to you first, Sean. When this was made, what was your thoughts on the fight itself?
When this was made, I said I don't want to see any promos for this. Just tell me when it is and where it's on.
This is your kind of fight.
Yeah, and so when I actually totally, I tweeted this at the weekend for anyone who's following the updates on the page. I've totally forgot about this fight, and I seen the advertisement in the corner of the broadcast, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" I forgot this fight was on next weekend, and a little bit of blood rushed down, got downstairs, and I forgot. Oh my god, this fight's on this weekend.
Geez.
Yeah, so looking forward to this one. I expect utter violence.
You're expecting a little bit of blood.
A little bit of blood, a little bit of violence. Actually, a lot of fucking violence is what I expect.
We had Chuck Mindenhall on the show when this fight was announced, and he did say something which I do agree with. He was kind of like, "Oh, this is scary.
It is.
This is a scary fight because CTE will happen, blood will happen.
I expect to see brain trauma. I expect to see blood,
big time. This is like when I said this is your kind of fight. This is everybody's kind of fight. Yeah. If you don't like this fight, or if you're not into this type of fight, you're not really an MMA fan or a fight fan, I don't think.
Yeah. What are you watching it for?
Yeah, exactly.
Go watch wrestling or something.
But the fight itself is phenomenal. Let's jump right into it. I think it's a fairly tough fight for Cowboy, in my opinion. I don't think it's a great matchup for him. I think Justin Gaethje matches up pretty well against him. Donald Cerrone, we know, he doesn't do great against guys who come forward. His game is fuck, but doesn't do well against aggressive fighters. Yeah. Is a decent counter puncher, decent counter kicker, decent counter striker in general. But he doesn't do well against guys who put a lot of pressure on him, and Justin Gaethje generally puts a lot of pressure on guys. So I think it's a tough matchup for him. Yeah.
Cowboy's just a BMF.
He is
in
a
the
BMF.
spirit of the moment.
He is. Yeah. Actually, Justin Gaethje is too.
Yeah, I've looked at the odds for this one. I actually thought Gaethje would be a little bit a wider favourite.
What's the odds?
So Gaethje's 1-2, which is roughly minus 250, I think.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit bigger.
And then Cerrone's roughly plus 250.
Yeah.
I was expecting a little bit bigger, to be honest. I think it should be a bit bigger. Basically the reasons you've outlined. And Gaethje, like, we've been impressed with him his last few fights. He's getting the wins. Cerrone's coming off a tough loss. Like that loss puts a bit of miles on the clock. The injury he had, I think, to Ferguson.
Yeah, I agree. And see, Donald Cerrone is like this ageless wonder who loses to guys, and you're like, oh, that's got to be it. That's got to be him done. You know, he's not going to come back now. And then he goes on a bit of a run. Like listen to this: Mike Perry, Alex Hernandez, Aloy Quinte. That was a 3-fight win streak that Donald Cerrone went on very, very recently. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's absolutely insane.
And I was very impressed with that one overall.
Me too. I was very, very impressed. Yeah. So like, this is a guy who just keeps coming back, but there's just something about Justin Gaethje, and it's the whole violence thing.
Yeah.
That I just think it's a pretty bad matchup for him. Justin Gaethje has a chin on him. He has very good recovery. Cowboy's never been the biggest puncher. He has great kicks, but I just think Justin Gaethje, if he mixes it up and goes to the legs, goes to the body, Cowboy does get hurt to the body quite a lot. I just think that it's really Gaethje's fight to lose. I really do think it's that way. I don't think it's like Khabib versus Poirier where I was so convinced that Khabib was going to win, but it's kind of getting to that kind of situation. But Cowboy surprised me before.
What does a win do for Justin Gaethje here?
I still think it does quite a bit. Like, Cerrone's a big name, so I think it does quite a bit.
He's coming off that streak, and only it's a loss to Ferguson.
Yeah. Especially if it's an impressive win, which usually when Justin Gaethje wins, it's impressive. It's the highlight.
It's not going to be robbing a decision anyway.
No, I don't think so. So if it's impressive, which it probably will be, I still think it does quite a bit for him. But I'm going to go Justin Gaethje. Tapology seems to be agreeing with me. About 70% going Gaethje, 30% Cerrone. How are you going on this one?
And a relevant little tidbit here is the amount of times I've seen Donald Cerrone priced at 6-4 in a fight. It's just basically what I mean. What I'm taking from is never count him out.
Yeah.
As in, he'll be there or thereabouts.
Oh yeah.
He could surprise you. Noel has said it before. Every time we pick against him, he goes out and wins. So I'm going to pick against him again because I don't think he wins it. But who knows? I wouldn't be shocked to see him win. Wouldn't be shocked at all.
Either would I. He's just that guy.
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's a
gangster.
He comes back in the co-main event. We have Glover Teixeira versus Nikita Krylov. Not great.
No,
it's all right. Not. It's all right. It's a tough fight though. I think it's a tough fight to pick. It's a tough fight to pick, and Tapology agree with that. It's 55% for Teixeira and 45% for Krylov. I'm going to go with Teixeira to win this one. I'm not sure what the actual odds are.
Yeah.
I think Teixeira has a lot of miles on his body. He's been around for a long time. He's taken a lot of damage. But I was impressed what he done against Kutalaba. I was impressed what he done against Carl Robertson. And you have to remember that Teixeira, even though he likes to strike and he's a good boxer, his best part of his game, in my opinion, is when he gets it to the floor. He's an excellent grappler. And Nikita Krylov has shown huge holes in his grappling defense. He got Von Flued by OSP back in the day, and that was a long time ago. But he got arm triangled against Jan Blachowicz, and he got guillotined against Misha Serkinov. I think if this hits the floor, I think Glover Teixeira gets it done. But Krylov is big for the division, hits hard. But I'm going to go Teixeira. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just looking through Krylov's Tapology right now, because to be honest, I didn't know a whole pile about him. Obviously Glover's been in there with a higher level of opposition.
Yeah.
There is a lot of holes in Krylov's game for the reason you just outlined, getting Von Flued and stuff.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. And he's been in and out of the UFC. He fought there previously, got cut, went away, came back. Glover. If Glover has anything left, I think he beats him. Obviously, he does have a lot of miles on the clock. Yeah, I think if Glover has anything left, he beats him. And Glover is 4-6 to get the W, and Krylov is 11-10, which is probably fair because he's doing miles on Glover's clock.
It's probably fair. Next up, Antolios Carlos Jr. Shoeface goes against Uriah Hall. Man, I don't mind this fight. I think this is a fun fight. I think Antonio Carlos Jr. is probably the favourite. He's coming off a loss against Ian Heinisch, who kind of grinded him out. But Uriah Hall isn't that type of fighter at all. He's like the opposite of that. He's the finesse striker. And he's also a guy who has problems with grapplers a lot. So it's kind of tough to pick him in this situation. I'd like to pick Uriah Hall because I think if it stays on the feet, he has a huge advantage and he's very, very fun to watch up there. But I just think Shoeface is going to get it to the floor and grind him out and probably get a submission at some point. But again, Uriah Hall has shown up against some good guys. You know, he beat Gegard Mousasi. It was a bit of, a weird win, and Mousasi came back and won that one. But yeah, I'm going to go Shoeface, even though he's coming off a loss. But yeah, tough fight.
He was on a nice win streak before. He was on a 5-fight win streak with Marvin Vettori, Jack Marshman, Tim Butch on there. So
yeah, some decent
bad,
wins, yeah.
Yeah, he is a favourite, like you said. He is 4-7, and Uriah Hall is 5-4. Probably fair.
Probably fair, yeah.
I'll take Carlos Jr. as well.
Nice. It's 33% for Hall, 67% for Carlos Jr. Fair on Topology. Misha Serkinov goes against Jimmy Crute in the next fight. Misha Serkinov was an interesting case back in the day because I remember a lot of my Canadian friends online. I don't have that many in person. Who are MMA
friends or Canadian?
yeah, both. A lot of them were talking very highly about Misha Serkinov and saying how good he was, and he has had some really good performances in the UFC, but he's also come up against guys and he's just looked flat. He just got beaten quite easily. And Jimmy Crute, so far in the UFC has looked really good, and he has some big wins. That win over Sam Alvey was nice. A lot of people said it was an early stoppage. Fair enough. But yeah, I just think Misha Serkinov has let me down too many times. He's a really good grappler, but I just think it's going to stay on the feet. Crute has shown that his takedown defense is pretty good, and I'm going to say Crute catches him and finishes him at some point in the first or second round.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Topology here, and the level of opposition that Crute has been in with, or Serkinov has been in with, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good test for Crute.
Oh, it is.
Definitely is. His last 4 fights, Volkan, Ozdemir, Glover Teixeira, got a win over Patrick Cummins, and then Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Lost the other 3, obviously beat Patrick Cummins. It's a good test for Crute. Good win over Sam Alvey, even if you think the stoppage was late. It's a win. Probably priced accordingly. Crute 4-6 and Misha Serkinov 11-10. Yeah, a good test. Actually, I don't know. I'm struggling for a pick in that one.
Yeah.
Just because of the level that Serkinov has been in with. Yeah, I don't know. Pick him, I think.
75% Crute, 25% Serkinov.
That's interesting. I think the odds are very fair on that one.
Yeah, I do too. I think a lot of people are very high on Crute because he had that good win last time out, and also he had he was featured on Embedded, I think, quite a bit on that card, and he seemed like a bit of a character.
Yeah,
not like a weird character, but he seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah,
like
bit of buzz about him.
Yeah. It's a perfect way to say it. Next fight up, Marvin Vettori against Andrew Sanchez. This could be a fun fight. This is two guys who come to bang, as they say. Marvin Vettori is notoriously hard to finish. We've seen that against Israel Adesanya, who actually only split decision them. Yeah. And Marvin Vettori just keeps coming forward. He's a good fighter. And Andrew Sanchez is a good little fighter in his own right. So this could be a fun one.
Yeah, actually the widest fights. Marvin Vettori is actually the biggest favourite on the card.
I had a feeling,
which is interesting. Yeah, 3-10, and then Sanchez 11-5. I think this would be a stand-up anyway. I think that's pretty clear. Yeah, whoever lands. You'd expect Vettori, but
yeah, I thought Vettori looked good against Cesar Ferreira, who is not a great striker, but he done a good job to keep it on the feet and land the better shots. And again, he has a great chin.
He can only come on from that fight with Adesanya.
Exactly, yeah. And the confidence that will give you, Adesanya competing for a title very soon. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Marvin Vettori, and yes, 84% on Topology. Let's go on that one. Augusto Saki, this is the opener for the card. Augusto Saki against Marcin Tybura. Heavyweights.
You heard of either of these two guys?
Yeah, I have. Unfortunately, and I think Topology is correct on this one. It is 50-50 for this one. Like Marcin Tybura has at times impressed me, But then at times he hasn't. He lost to Abdurrahimov in his last fight, but then he's been in there with, you know, Fabricio Verdum and looked okay. You know, he's beat Stefan Struve, and Stefan Struve is coming back, by the way. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah.
The shortest tall guy ever.
Yeah.
The way he fights.
He fights the shortest I've ever seen. He fights shorter than most short guys.
Yeah.
You have, you know, Saki who just won against Arlovsky. Man, this is a fucking terrible fight.
It's fucking shit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not great. What
matchmaker came up with this shit like?
It's not great. This is not a fun fight.
I mean,
sorry, lads.
Saki's
It
fought
just isn't.
4 times since 2017.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Saki.
I don't know. But Tapology has it 50-50. The bookies have Tybura a favour. I'm going to take him.
Let us know in the comments below who you take in all these fights. Main event, though. Cracker.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Poor card other than that.
Yeah. But you want to talk about a good fight? Because I gave you a good fight last week in Educating Young John. Well, I gave it to it like 10 weeks ago. And
just keep getting that little dig in.
Yeah. You're going to let me know how you feel about it. Because
Yeah.
I'm interested. Moving on. So this is Educating Young Sean, and this is the part of the show where we give Sean a fight. He goes off and reviews it, watches it, and then reviews it. And then we give him another fight. So Sean, last week we gave you a fight, or I gave you a fight, that I gave you about 10 weeks ago that you forgot to watch.
I was busy.
Yeah, he was busy over in Vegas. But yeah, we gave you a fight. It was Carlos Condit versus Rory McDonald. Did you actually get to watch it this time? You had a week.
I did, yeah, I watched that.
Cool.
But I had to renew the Fight Pass subscription.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that cut me deep.
I'm
having
sorry.
to do that.
So you do it legally?
Yeah, I do it legally.
You do this all legally?
Yeah,
Jesus,
I do this
Dana,
legally.
listen.
Yeah, I think Fight Pass is worth the subscription. I actually think it's good value for money.
I agree. If you're going to use it,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so when I have this, it's good value. I think 30 quid for the pay-per-view at the weekend is a load of shite. We'll talk about that later. Oh, we have? No, we have talked about
We already talked about
it.
it. Let them in on it.
Yeah, peek behind the curtains there and get confused. But anyway, the fight. Yeah, great fight. I know McDonald lost, but I feel like this might have been his coming out party. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
I mean, stopping the fight with 9 seconds to go as well. What do you think of that?
Like, on one hand, you're like, let him survive, like let him get in there. But then on the other hand, if it's a stoppage, it doesn't really matter what the time is.
That's it.
And I'm pretty sure we used to have Daniel Mulvahedi on a lot, who's a referee in the UK and Europe. Yeah. And he said a similar thing. He's like, I don't look at the clock. If it's a stoppage, it's a stoppage. Yeah. But I can understand.
And he's right, because McDonald was winning the fight as well. So there is kind of that in the back of your mind as well.
Yeah, it was such a fun fight, that wasn't it?
Really fun. So impressed with Rory. And this was kind of it seemed to be, from what the commentators were saying, the first of this new breed of young fighters who had just come into the gym, and this was all they did. They didn't sort of box beforehand and then sort of get into MMA. Rory was training everything. And you could tell he was brilliant to watch. And you could see the warrior and Condit in that third round as well. He knew he needed to finish. Yeah. Brilliant fight. Yeah,
it's the whole storyline coming up to this one was what was, I guess, so captivating in a way, because Rory just wasn't anybody new. You know, he was a new guy in the division, and he came up and put on a great performance. But yeah, that was a phenomenal fight. I have another good one.
Okay.
It is from UFC Fight Night 40. That was back in 2014. Old school enough, yeah. It was Matt Brown versus Eric Silva.
Oh, Matt Brown, the fighter, not the coach.
Not the coach, yeah. Mike Brown. Mike Brown.
Mike Brown, apologies, yeah.
Before
he was the coach.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's one of my favourites, actually. It's kind of a deep cut. It's not one that people will pull out all the time, but I enjoyed it.
It obviously sticks in your mind for a reason.
Yeah, it's fun. So go check that one out and report back to us next week. And know what, actually, comment below. If you're watching this, comment below and give Sean some fights. I'm not sick of doing this. I enjoy doing it, but I need some help.
Yeah. Give me some kickboxing under, some jiu-jitsu stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
Some out there stuff. So there's definitely a couple of you guys in the comments have some weird fights to give me. So 100%. Give me all them.
Think pride. Think kickboxing. Think madness.
Yeah.
Sean likes blood.
Yeah, I love blood.
Think blood.
Yeah.
Let's go and move on to Sean's Weird News, because it's back this week.
Yes. So first up this week, we actually have, I'm going to give Dana some props for once. I give him a lot of shit because he deserves a lot of shit, but he done something nice this week.
Really?
So we all know about Dustin's the charity work he does, providing water to kids in Africa and making playgrounds for kids with disabilities and stuff. Obviously, Khabib, after in the in-cage interviews, said that he was going to donate his fight kit as well. And Dana, in this video, I'm going to play it now, he promised to match whatever Khabib raises as well.
That's pretty
which is pretty cool.
I wanted to ask you about after the fight with Khabib and Dustin. You saw them trade their shirts afterward, and Khabib said he's going to donate some of the stuff to Dustin's charity. Can you just, comment on, that display of respect and, what that kind of says about these athletes?
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and I think pretty much the sentiment here was, everybody loves the way that Khabib carries himself, and the whole thing with him and Conor. I mean, I think you guys were there at that press conference when that thing went down, and everybody was asking me after. I said this was the darkest press conference I've ever been a part of. It was very weird.
Very shaky.
Those two just
Whoever's
dislike
on
each
camera
other
then
that
it's
much,
a
I
sort
guess. So, but at the end of the day, Khabib is a great guy. Very respectful guy, and any interaction I've ever had with him has been, obviously Dustin's the nicest
Because he's
kid
terrified
in the
of him.
world. So,
Yeah.
it's always cool when you see these guys respect each other like they did, and for him to switch shirts and then take his stuff and donate it to charity is it's pretty awesome. And I'll tell you what, now that I'm thinking about it, I'll match whatever Khabib does.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I give him a lot of shit, so like...
Credit where credit is due.
I want to give him
is
some
what I'll
credit
say.
where it's due. You pointed it out before.
Sorry, I kind of wish that you had something bad about Dana next, just
Yeah.
to say. And now let's move on to
Well,
this
I mean,
one.
we can slag how red he is in that video.
Yeah, he does look like a bit like a tomato. I can't say anything. I look like a fucking ghost. But,
I'm a bit tanned at the minute because, in case you didn't know, I was on holidays.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't. I haven't been on holidays in a while.
So next up, Jim Edwards. Slagging how Khabib likes a steak. So obviously Khabib said his next fight would be with a cheeseburger and a steak.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to look at the steak that he's eating here,
I'm not going to lie. Didn't even think that was steak.
Cremated, man.
Jesus.
How do you like your steak?
I like it medium.
Medium. I like
Yeah.
mine medium to well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I like it with a bit of blood. Not too much blood, but,
Well,
definitely not like that.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Baby, you're a great fighter, but
He
shite
does
steak
have
eater.
the hand over face emoji, so it does look like he's not particularly pleased with it.
yeah, I
but
wonder if like he ordered something else and they gave him this shite.
yeah.
But if that's the way he likes it, he's a terrible fighter.
Have you seen Ariel? Ariel is a big
the fuck
fan
are
of
they?
hot dogs.
With sesame seeds on top. Never seen that before.
I don't know.
Don't know. It's probably an Irish
Um,
thing. Like it's
yeah,
probably
it
like,
is, isn't it?
we just don't do that.
Yeah. Ariel is a big fan of the steak like this, and
Is he?
Yum. See that now? Yeah. If you follow Ariel's Twitter, it's one of his
Oh.
great causes is that steak should be done like this. So Ariel, for once, you're wrong.
Yeah. You're chewing rubber.
Yeah, not for me.
Not for me either.
A meme.
Also, by the way,
Oh.
are they potatoes?
Yeah, they look like mash.
It is
They
mash,
don't
isn't it?
look
But it's a bit weird,
great
isn't it?
though, yeah.
It looks like someone stood in them.
Yeah. Come over to Ireland sometime, Khabib. We'll show you some good
We'll show-
mash.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll show you how to do hot dogs. No
Yeah.
sesame seeds.
Yeah. We'll show you a lot of the good food as well.
Yeah.
A stew or something.
Yeah. Coddle.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a coddle?
No, and I
Dublin thing.
know what it is, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
The sausage is our word.
Little meme here for everyone.
Oh, yeah. So if you're just listening to this, it's that guys literally only want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting, that meme, and it's Khabib and Tony.
That's all we want, man. We're not
That's
asking
awesome.
for a lot.
No.
We're only asking for a little.
Isn't that a savage picture of Tony Ferguson,
Great,
though?
man. And
Jesus Christ.
the mouth guard as well looks sick.
Yeah, it just goes with it, yeah.
He looks like a savage. I assume that was
Savage.
after the Pettis fight.
I assume so.
Yeah.
Although, it could be after all his fights,
Yeah.
or any one of his fights.
Could be after his fight with like the walls and stuff. in his
Yeah.
house.
Oh, jeez.
Probably shouldn't have went.
No,
there.
like, went a bit dark. He seems like he's recovered and all,
Yeah.
so it's all good.
Hopefully he's good to go for the rematch. The rematch.
I hope, hopefully,
First
as we discussed earlier on,
Yeah.
I hope so. Is that
But
it?
yeah, that's all we got
That's
this
the
week. No Spud Life. We're hoping to have Will on soon, and he'll give us an update on the Spuds and stuff. So
Yeah, hopefully. Actually, when I think I told you this, when we spoke to him last time, you asked about the Spuds, and there was an issue with some recording
we'll get
stuff.
that for you next time.
We'll get that. And he said that when he comes back, he'll give a better answer.
Yeah.
So,
We caught him on the hop the last time, so yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get his proper
Yeah.
answer. Proper.
cool. Great stuff.
Deadly.
So yeah, thanks for listening, or thanks for watching if you're watching on YouTube. Give this channel a subscribe, because we're trying to build up the subscribers if we can. And also give this video a like. It's the only way YouTube will know that people like it and recommend it.
Yeah.
And for everyone who watched, and maybe for the new people who subscribed to us from the last video that I done, thanks for watching. I got some really good feedback on it. We're going to do some more of that stuff. Sean had some great ideas as well. We might get into that.
We've got
But,
a fun one coming up.
yeah, we're looking to do a lot more stuff on the channel, including a live chat and breaking news. We said this at the start as well, but we're gonna move this podcast to a Wednesday recording, release on a Thursday. We might get into why we're doing that next week. We won't get into it now, it'll go too long, but that's the plan. So next week, look out for this on Thursday.
Sweet.
Not Tuesday. Great stuff. Thanks, Sean.
No worries, Rob.
All the best.
See you.